Put him down. Put him down. I'm not looking up.
3, 2,
Welcome back to the Agony of Positivity podcast. Unless you are change watching episodes, maybe you're still here. So we're glad that you're still listening to multiple episodes in a row. I'm Ross.
I am Saul. I can't picture anybody doing that, but hey, dude.
Some of our stuff is at least non-time based, so you could theoretically listen to some of our episodes in a row, and it wouldn't be weird. But yeah, I don't usually listen to 2 episodes of a show in a row. Like, it just, most of my stuff is like, all my podcasts are pretty time sensitive that I listen to.
Yeah.
So even when I find like, oh, this person's doing a podcast now, or oh, I'm interested in this, like, it's not like I can just be like, oh, I'm going to listen to like 5 of these in a row. Like, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Like, the closest I have is the Tony Schiavone's podcast, where they're going through like the old wrestling right now.
Yeah.
That I can kind of do, but if they get sidetracked on modern stuff, it's just like, oh, that's so old that doesn't even matter now. So it kind of takes me out of it.
Sure.
Although you do get to hear like the awesome promo where Arn Anderson is talking about if someone pushes your child off a mountain, if it's personal or not. So that's a real thing.
Yeah.
How's your week been going?
It's been all right, I guess.
But
Working with the bow.
yeah, more water antics.
No, I mean, there's really one thing that's funnier than it. I mean, he's just an idiot.
He's not gonna top any of the previous stuff.
Yeah, he's just I don't know. I'm just like, wow, you're kind of a moron.
Well, I mean, he's younger, so he's gonna make bad decisions probably.
But how far does that go? I mean, yeah, he's 15, but I mean, it's just common sense. I don't know.
He just needs guidance. You could be that source.
Yeah.
Although that's a lot of work. Well, it's probably better because at the rate he was going, his next misdeed or zany antic could end up in death. So it's probably better that he's topped out.
Sure.
Oh, my week has been very chaotic, but nothing super horrible. I had a strange thought this morning while I was making breakfast.
Yeah.
Do you eat eggs?
Yes.
When you make breakfast, let's say, you can buy like the tube of sausage, or you can buy like sausage links, or you can buy like the pre-made sausage patties.
Okay.
Do you eat those?
Something. I'm not a big sausage person, but yeah, I eat. When I do eat it, I guess I don't buy it in a tube. It's disgusting.
Okay. Is there a breakfast meat you eat, like ham, bacon?
I guess if I want to eat one, it'd be bacon. I'm a big pork person. I just don't like a lot of
Breakfast hamburger?
Yeah, I mean, I'll eat bacon if I eat something.
Okay. When you make your breakfast, so my breakfast usually consists of like sausage, eggs, or sausage, bacon, eggs, or ham. Basically, meat and eggs is usually my breakfast. Maybe a biscuit gravy, something like that.
I like the protein in it. Protein.
Yes, basically. And sometimes some bread, but I try to avoid it. When you make eggs, how many eggs do you, like, assuming like not the super ultra mega jumbo ostrich size eggs, how many eggs do you make for your breakfast if you're going to eat them?
Usually 2.
Okay. Now, do you find that 2 is a lot of egg?
I find 2 just enough.
So you don't eat like 5 or 6 eggs ever?
When sitting, no.
So my breakfast, and I was wondering that because again, back like many years ago when I did like the like lifting for like bodybuilding purposes or whatever, breakfast was not uncommon to be 12 eggs. Like that was fine. So like eating a lot of eggs is not a strange thing to me, but like I had like 3 of the pre-made little sausage patties and then like 5 eggs, and I got done and I was like, man, I wish I would have fixed a few more eggs.
Okay. That's a lot of eggs, man.
Is it? Like, does your wife eat eggs?
Yeah, she eats like 2 or 3.
That's weird. Like, my wife's to say, like, she'll eat like a couple. Like, she kind of prefers scrambled eggs, I think. So I'll make like 2 or 3.
I do too. I prefer scrambled over any of the others.
I try to go medium well on the eggs, but is very like I've gotten to where I'll actually err on the side of like just still a little bit runny on the yolk.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just curious like what the average person. Let's see if there's an internet thing for this. Average number of eggs for breakfast. Because there's people like me who are like, oh, I could eat 12 eggs. A maximum of 2 eggs a day would suffice for an average adult.
Yes.
Let's see. How many?
That's about right.
Here's a good question. Like, does the Google people also ask, how many eggs is too many for breakfast? The science is clear that up to 3 whole eggs per day are perfectly safe for healthy people. For 70%, there's no increase. 9 subtype of LDL.
Eating 12 eggs is not good for you.
Yeah. There is no recommended limit on how many eggs people should eat. This is specifically, can you eat 5 eggs a day? What about 6 eggs a day? 6 eggs a day is a hell of a lot, no matter how you cut it. Because apparently it's trying to say that the cholesterol in the egg immediately affects you.
they you know what?
But that's not.
They have been dogging eggs ever since I've been little. I've heard egg good, egg bad, egg good, egg. I mean,
don't eat the yolk.
I mean, they don't know what the hell they're talking about.
Yes, I would agree. I assume like because eggs and milk both are like on the protein thing, so I assume there's like the egg lobby and the milk lobby that attack each other.
Well, and they've been doing it ever since I've been a kid, so I'm like, it changes all the time. So,
well, I remember one of the weirdest things was throughout school, depending on who your health teacher was, eggs counted as meat or not meat.
Yes.
And I always thought that was very weird.
Sure.
Because there's like, I guess there's like a vegetarian veganism debate or whatever about eggs.
Yeah.
Now I would think because you can like, I have neighbors who have chickens. Their chickens just hang out in the backyard, so it's not like they're mistreated. Now they have like the chicken coop or whatever that they go into at night, probably to keep them safe more than anything. But yeah, they just hang out. They're literally gigantic. Like they're almost the size of your dogs, which are like it's horrifying to see one of them. Like it's so big. And like so they have eggs, I'm sure, all the time. I wouldn't consider that harmful to the animal.
Yeah.
So,
Speaking of chickens.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little side tracking here. I go to my one friend's house last week, and I've been there a while. And I was dropping off something, and I hear a bunch of roosters crowing. I was like, man, who has roosters around here? Oh, I do. I was like, you have chickens? He's like, yeah. And he takes me back to the far end of his property. He lives kind of like in the backwoods area.
Yeah.
And he has like just a whole cage full of just roosters separated in different compartments. And I'm like, why in the world do you have all these roosters for? Oh, I'm holding them for somebody.
And why are they also in isolation?
Yeah, that's what I said. I was like, why are they all isolated? Oh, you have to because they'll fight each other and kill each other. I was like,
that makes sense.
I'm like, are you doing some kind of underground cockfighting or something? And he's like, no. He's like you just got to keep them separated because they
yeah, they'll fight.
Yeah.
And murder.
And I was like, okay. It was just weird. I'm like, is he using them for cockfighting? He's like, no. He uses it for. He says he turns them loose somewhere. Yeah, I guess they kill snakes, which they do.
Right.
My grandma had a farm, and roosters will kill snakes. But this is weird.
Yeah.
I wasn't buying the whole story.
Right. You're like, something's just, it's weird. Well, because I thought you only needed one rooster.
Sure. He had like 12.
Wait, how many roosters do you need per hen? One rooster for every 10 hens.
Okay.
If you have a large, one rooster for every 10 hens or so, give or take, is what I'm taking from that. In a large flock, there is often more than one rooster with no problems. In smaller flocks, it's a very greater risk. Girls, one rooster. So breeders will have multiple roosters for like one rooster for every like 2 to 5, I guess.
Yeah. Well, he has like different, like he had like a couple pins made up.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, he's like, I'll let them come out for, I'll let them around the yard or hit the little pins that he made. Or he's like, I'll have a little roam around for, a couple hours.
Yeah.
Then I'll put them back up. I was like, okay. Like I said, I'm not a farmer.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the correct protocol. I don't know, but just weird.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. We had a family friend that had like a chicken coop or whatever. Like I remember they had chickens, but I don't remember in enough detail like whether or not they had like a ton of roosters. But yeah, theirs just kind of like roamed around and they like stayed mostly like I don't remember them having like a big fence around it or anything. Although I would think, I mean, we're Ohio. I don't think like you're as concerned about coyotes and stuff in the area they were in.
Sure.
I
mean, my grandma had chickens. She had just chickens and she had one rooster, so maybe it's accurate. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I'm curious because like, so the neighbors' chickens are so big, like, I don't know if they eventually kill a chicken for food, or if they specifically have them for eggs. Like, I've never talked to them about it because I don't know how you bring that up. Like, so do you ever murder those birds to eat them? Like, not that I'm like I eat chicken. I'm not like opposed to it, but for me, like keeping an animal like that, where like you go out, let them out, roam around, feed them, talk to them, that becomes way closer to a pet.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I would assume you would have a favorite chicken because they have like a little bit of a personality to them, like not a ton.
Sure.
But, like they don't show the personality that like a dog or a cat does, but
yeah. Yeah, my grandma, like I said, she had whatever amount of chickens that you have in a coop or whatever.
Yeah.
In the little pen area, and then she had a rooster, and then she had a rooster running free out in her yard. She lived down south, and she would have copperheads all the time, and the rooster would kill the copperheads roaming around in the yard. So,
I don't know. Yeah, I didn't know they did that. I mean, it makes sense because they kind of protect the other chickens as well as mate.
Yeah, I mean the roosters she had, they were mean because they would chase me around. So
yes,
I mean,
I assume that my family's friends' chickens, if they had the roosters, I assume they chased us too because little kids are dumb. So we probably got too close and then ran away. I mean, I've been chased by a goose as an adult, so no way I didn't didn't avoid that. So, all right. Well, I did not expect to talk about eggs and chicken that much today, but so we got a few different things we could talk about. You sent me a link for some upcoming movies. We got the Farewell to Jacksonville for like 2 months, and then some video game stuff. What do you want to go to?
We talk a little about movies if you want.
All right, let's do that. Let me hit this one.
Something that could never, ever possibly destroy us. Mr. Stay Puft.
You chose poorly. You have chosen wisely.
All right, so you sent me a link for upcoming movies. Is there like a search link? Is there a certain one you had clicked on, or were you just going by the banner at the top?
So the main thing I was going with is this Mandarin movie coming out. Shang-Chi.
Wait, where is this? Because I don't. Oh yeah, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
Yes. So I mean, I don't know if you've seen a trailer for this.
No, I have not.
The rings are not on his fingers. It's like It's like bracelets that like become really big and become like.
I can see from the poster like they're kind of behind him, like angel wings effect.
Yeah, and I'm like, well, I don't know. I never grew up watching or reading about the Mandarin, but I feel like Disney does not know how to do the Mandarin.
I am trying to think because I watched like the Iron Man cartoon. That was my that was my primary exposure to the Mandarin. But yeah, like all the rings did something different. I just don't know. Like the idea of just having rings on every finger seems really cool. Now, if they're doing it bracelets that kind of like expand and go behind them and do something like when they're interconnected, they might be able to make that cool.
Yeah.
Like, because I mean, if they would have done it the one way and then for the movie they decide to do it as rings instead, we'd probably have like the exact same thing. But like, I don't know about that.
Sure. Well, I mean, anything be better than the god awful Mandarin and the Iron Man movie.
Right. Well, the fake Mandarin, because they had like the credit scene or whatever that addressed that. I could kind of see. I'm trying to think if I was making magical items. It seems like a bracelet that kind of like binds to you and then does magic would be more secure than making a ring.
Sure.
Like from a regular standpoint. And assuming you don't have weird rules that you can only wear like one bracelet, like in role-playing games.
Sure.
Like, well, I could probably put cloth over top of leather real easy and just have like doubled up armor.
I like the idea of, and I've seen it in a couple of movies, where if you use magic, it drains your energy in your body.
Yeah.
Where you have to basically build up a tolerance to use magic. I kind of like that idea.
Yeah, where it's basically like you essentially have like in a video game like mana, but like if you're like, how do you think that actual? Because it's always like portrayed as like they just get tired, but would it just sap your strength? Like, trying to think like, you know, like you can like work out. Like if you've done like a ton of physical activity that you don't normally do, you're going to be pretty tired. Would it be like that, or would it be like, you know, when you get like real sick and you get where you feel real weak?
Yeah.
Like
I think it'd be more like that.
Yeah,
like
where like you've just drained your body.
Yeah, taking a toll on your health type thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and then like it might take days to recover depending on what you've done.
Yep. I like that concept because I think that way, you know, you can't have a person like just pop out of nowhere, like like Rey in Star Wars. They're like, oh, I'm a super master at this. You know, it's like, well, no, you have to takes years to.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but you could still have someone who was like really good, but they would have the problem of like overexerting themselves, basically.
Sure.
What would you think? So, this is very unmovie related, but so Spawn, the comic books, he initially started out where he was given he had like an amount of power that he could use, and he could do whatever he wanted with it. But once he used the power, basically he was given over to the devil, pretty much. Do you like that idea where it didn't necessarily make him weaker?
Yeah.
Like, it kind of like it took a little bit out of him, but like he'd recover pretty quickly. But like, it's like, all right, you're full strength with this until you've used this amount, and then it's over. You're trying to figure ways to not do it.
The only thing I don't like about that is because you don't know where the power level is, unless the movie.
Well, the comic books had like a little power meter initially.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. So like a TV show or something, have a power meter where only you can see it.
Right. Or something like real super visible, or they'd have to like address it constantly. To where you kind of like, because it'd be like, I would assume it would be an internal feeling if you had that.
Sure.
What if?
Yeah, I mean, I know.
What if? So you know, like the roguelike games where you can play through, then you die, but you get to keep different things.
Yeah.
Have they ever done a roguelike game that's kind of like a magician based or a wizard, but you're basically just like, once you use up all your power, you just die. Like you can actually kill yourself by using your magic.
Yeah.
And then you'd have to start over. Like if you gain stuff, that's fine. But
maybe. I don't know if they have or not, to be honest with you.
That'd be an interesting way to do it. But yeah, I'm assuming the rings don't have that issue for the Mandarin here.
Yeah, I mean, the trailer is not very helpful.
Is it just like the early trailer to it?
Yeah, it was like the one I've seen. They might have a newer one. I don't.
Right. I don't know. I'll have to check it out. I mean, I would give it a shot, like watching it, because they've made me like, I didn't care about the Guardians of the Galaxy at all, and then that was like, man, that was actually one of the better movies you guys did.
The first one I like.
Yeah. The second one, once you get to like ultra crazy alien supernatural stuff with like your father and playing catch, like that kind of stuff makes me like, I get it, but man, this is not for me at this point.
Yeah.
Did you see that there's a Snake Eyes movie?
Yes, it looks dumb.
Oh, that makes me sad.
It is. Then again, I'm not a big that whole G.I. Joe franchise. I'm not a big fan of it. So.
The first movie they did was terrible, and then when they kind of rebooted it with, I think Rock was in it.
Yeah.
And they actually made Cobra Commander. I was a little more into that one.
Well, the guy that was playing Duke is big anti-guns, anti-war, which is fine. You want to be that way, but don't be a character that has war and guns. I don't know. It's just.
Well, yeah, it's like, and G.I. Joe is like super. Even though like the cartoons weren't technically violent because people didn't die. I mean, it was nonstop explosions and shooting.
Yeah.
Like,
if you're going to be anti-gun in a movie, some of these Hollywood celebrities, they drive me nuts. The only one that's done it right is Sigourney Weaver in Alien.
Yeah.
Because all of her Alien movies didn't have guns in it because she
didn't want that.
Opposed guns, which is fine, and her movies represent that. So I respect her for that.
Right, is where like if someone's against something and then they're portraying it heavily in a movie, it just feels weird.
Yeah. Liam Neeson, I'm looking at you. Piece of crap.
Careful. He'll find you.
Yeah, that's fine. He can find me all he wants, and he can verbally point his finger at me, I guess.
Man, I don't know if that was a firework that just went off or something like broke. Let's see here. Oh, I forgot all about this Ghostbusters Afterlife thing.
Yeah.
Like, I guess that got put on hold.
Yeah. Was it Corona or just because it was a bad movie?
Once you bring in children to be like, I just can't do it. I just can't do it. Like, if you give me children as the crux of the plot, where they are the ones that cause the problem that has to be solved, I immediately root against them.
Sure.
If you bring in children to take care of various very serious issues, it's a hard sell. Like Stranger Things, I was okay with. They kind of made that work for me. But it's still like they could lose me at any moment.
Oh my god, it might seem Matrix 4 here. Oh, good grief.
We need more. We need more people to think that they're gonna wake up out of the Matrix.
They ended that. How in the world are they going to make another movie?
Oh, they can.
Well, I'm sure. Well, I know they can. Is it going to make any sense and it be any good? Because the third one sucked.
Let's see. Is Matrix 4 after Matrix Revolutions? So they won't return due to a prequel setting. So it is afterwards. Maybe Neo becomes like the equivalent to Agent Smith or whatever.
He had to because he's dead. So,
Or is he? Because he's in it. Well, Keanu Reeves is in it.
So is Trinity.
It'll be fine.
They both died.
Did you have the friend that like had the coat and thought that he was Neo?
No, but I had seen people like that in school. They thought they were Neo. They thought they were the Crow.
Yes, they basically thought they were the main character. Like they were convinced they would be a main character in a show and not just background fluff.
Yes,
I'd probably mostly be like background, maybe supporting cast.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Why is Morpheus not in the Matrix 4? Yeah, I could not get into the Matrix stuff. Like, I thought it was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Like, I like the fight scenes and like some of the effects they did. But as far as the story, it was like, yeah, okay, great.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else is there here? West Side Story, Paw Patrol the movie. There you go.
Yes.
We watched some of the Air Bud movies. Man. Oh, speaking, so we did a little bit of Christmas in July movie watching.
Okay.
And so now we have not watched Krampus because that's a true Christmas movie to watch. So I'm holding that we only watch that at actual Christmas time. But the movie we watched last night was Christmas Twister, which is it's Christmas Twister.
Okay.
You might be familiar with other such movies as Twister and Sharknado, things like that. This movie is set in, I think it was Texas. Yeah, it is Texas. And there's like a storm. Now, tell me if this is the most predictable plot ever. There is kind of the good guy. I don't know if he's the main, like, I think the female lead, Victoria Pratt, is the main character technically. There's another like the supporting co-star person is this guy who's like a weather expert, but he's not like the meteorologist on the news. Like she's an anchor. There is the villain of the movie is the thinks he knows it all meteorologist who the rogue guy who got in a bunch of trouble in the past for a bad forecast, he'll call and talk to the anchor lady and be like, oh, he's missing this. There's this weird thing due to global warming or like climate change or like something that's unexpected in like the way the computer generates models for what a storm is going to do. So they keep getting these like these tornadoes that they're not expecting. And he's the only one who's able to predict them. They just keep missing them, and people get hurt. There's a new member to the rogue guys team who's like, well, is there an F6 tornado? They're like, oh, that'd be literally impossible. You know what happens? Yep. So there's that whole thing. Do you know why he got like taken off being a meteorologist, the kind of rogue weather forecaster guy? He was wrong once, and they evacuated like a big building or a town or something.
No.
And nothing happened. So because of the shame of that, I guess he was outcast from the news station. It is now like basically because one wrong forecast. Because they bring it up, and he was like, they're like, well, isn't it better to be safe than sorry? And they're like, well, no. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. Like,
the weathermen in our area would be in real bad luck then.
Yeah. Well, I mean, how many times do you get like tornado warning and there's not? Like, we get that multiple times a month in tornado season.
And when do you evacuate? When does that happen in a tornado?
I don't understand. Like, I just know that that's kind of the story they were telling. I'd be lying if I said I was 100% focused on this movie, because the F6 tornado, that'd be impossible. It would take speeds of whatever. Like, as soon as they said that, I already knew that there was nothing to worry about as far as the movie ending until they got to the F6 tornado that was clearly going to happen.
Sure.
So the one character's daughter skips school and goes to a mall. Guess where the F6 tornado goes?
Oh, I mean, the mall's the safest spot, right?
Yeah. Well, the tornado was hunting them down and went to the mall.
That was the problem with Twister. It's like the
Sentient tornadoes.
Like the tornadoes had a vendetta against the people. It's like tornadoes don't do that.
Right. At least in this one, there are so many tornadoes that it was likely it would happen. So the weather guy, he meets his end. Obviously, there's going to be spoilers here. I can't imagine anyone being upset about Christmas Twister being spoiled. He goes out with a camera guy, and there's a power plant, and the tornado's not anywhere near the power plant or something like that. And he's like, grab your camera. And they're like, dude, we need to evacuate. And he's like, you're going to get this shot, or you're going to be back doing like public access TV or something, like some kind of a threat that I don't think the weatherman could actually make happen. So they decide to climb up to like one of the top towers of this power plant to get like the awesome shot where the tornado's behind him and he's reporting, because he's like, I'm going to get Emmys and all kinds of stuff for this. Well, all of a sudden the tornado turns in the middle of his broadcast coming his direction. And there is a stack of like those ship containers, like the shipping containers.
Yeah.
They get sucked up into the tornado, and then all of a sudden, his final image on the broadcast is the shipping container flying at him, and he puts his hands up, and then it cuts to back to the newsroom, and they're just like, "Oh my God, this is terrible." Not a single person mentions the cameraman dying as well. They are only concerned about the meteorologist.
Cameraman doesn't matter.
Who was up there against his own will because that guy threatened. Like, it doesn't... Like, how horrible he was to put the cameraman in that situation and how he belittled him into it. Like, that dies with him. No one knows. But then they're like talking about like, he was a little bit of a pain in the butt, but he wasn't a bad guy. Yeah, he was. He was a horrible person because that cameraman's dead because of that. So, but yeah, and then like the end of the movie is they go and find everybody, and that's kind of like the end of it. Like, it's technically a happy ending because like the main characters survive and get back together. Like, I think they were like split up, or I don't know what was going on. I kind of didn't care about that part.
Oh, and by the way, that's not a Christmas movie.
Well, yeah, it says Christmas Twister. It's a tornado that happens. It's an action drama Christmas movie.
Die Hard had Christmas elements in it.
Well, this had like a Santa Claus in it.
Okay, well,
What was a very weird scene. The two high school girls decide to go sit on Santa Claus's lap, who obviously is an older man, and ask to get a date with one of... I forgot about this part. So the one, she's like, oh, we're going to go do this. So they go and sit on Santa's lap, who looks incredibly uncomfortable with the whole thing, because it's like, what is going on here? She's like, oh, she wants a date with Bobby Football Hero or whatever the guy's name is. So the sad moment for that character is, so everybody, when the tornado's headed towards the mall, everybody's trying to get inside the mall because they have like an emergency shelter, which is, to be fair, even if you were just standing in the middle of the mall, if you were in a doorway, that's going to be better than standing outside with an unprecedented F6 tornado just barreling down on you. But so this guy, I'm assuming it's him, as he's running to the doors, you see somebody locking the mall doors. And I'm like, looked at my wife and I was like, why would they start locking the doors when there's people outside? Like, that doesn't seem like normal procedure. If anything, you would want like doors or windows open because of the pressure.
Yes.
So I thought that was weird. But yeah, so he grabs a hold of the door trying to get in, and the tornado gets too close, and all of a sudden he's doing the thing where he's holding on to the door, but it's like trying to suck him away, so he's like vertical. Or I'm sorry, horizontal, like just hanging there. And then he gets sucked into the tornado, and the girl has like the no screaming thing. Now, the next part is you see like the Santa Claus sitting there, and they show like the top of the mall, like it's a big glass thing. It's starting to crack and everything. And I was like, there's no way they just killed that kid like that. He's going to like come flying through the glass or something and like land on Santa's lap. And he's going to be like, somehow like the girl's going to see it, and then they're going to get, you know, like somehow Santa's going to grant the Christmas wish of the date with the guy. That doesn't happen. He's just gone and forgotten about. Like, so they saw someone that they knew get sucked away, and it's just like, it's never mentioned again. There's a few people that
was terrible, Ross.
It is 1.5 star on IMDb. I think Rotten Tomato had it at like 14% or something.
That sounds too high.
There was one scene that drove me insane where, so the rogue weather guy, he has like his little crew, but he's talking to him on the phone, and the guy's like, it looks like, I'm pretty sure that tornado is getting ready to cut course towards the mall on his way there. And then, so Ethan is the name of the character who's like the guy, like the weather guru. He's like, yeah, I think you're right. And I like am looking, I'm like, how does he think he's right? He's not even looking at the map. He's just on the phone. Like, is he just like going on a hunch? She's like, well, he's got the laptop in the car. And I was like, the laptop hasn't been on the whole movie. There's no point where you've seen that thing on.
No.
It'd just be like, yeah, I think, even though I'm not seeing it, I think you're right. Like, all right. They'd be like, hold on, Ross, I think my steak's done. Yeah, I think you're right too. Even though I can't see it. Oh Lord.
Yeah. You're not selling me on this movie at all.
Then I have done my job. It was something.
I was watching TV shows, and then we can move on to something else, because I think.
Yeah.
But I was watching TV shows, and I was watching The Office, and they were naming places they were traveling to.
Yeah.
Scranton. So for whatever reason, it interests me. I kept on looking up the distance of the places they were going to see if it was possible for them.
Yeah.
Like Scranton to New York City. I was like, there's no way you can get to Scranton or go get to New York City from Scranton. And you can. It's like 2 hours away.
Huh. Yeah, 2 hours isn't bad.
Sure. But for whatever reason, I was every place they mentioned that they were driving to. I was like, no, you can't do that. And then I look it up and I'm like, I guess you can.
I like that you were like fact checking them as you go.
Yes. I was fact checking a comedy, yes.
That's fine. Or it would have been okay if every place they said was literally impossible. Like where it was clear that they were doing it on purpose.
No.
All right. Do you want to move on?
Yeah.
To wrestling?
Yeah, we can go to wrestling.
All right. let me hit this thing.
Why did Britt take her shoe off to eat that sandwich? Well, I don't know what the hell's going on here, folks. Looks like he's just wearing blue pants.
This is a revolution.
All right. So we have the farewell show to Jacksonville. Was there anything... So you pointed out on the AllEliteWrestling.com, like the homepage, if you scroll down a little bit, there's this really crazy picture of Sammy and MJF where Sammy is laid out perfectly horizontal.
Yes.
To where, like, even his legs, like, we were talking, is like, you could rotate the picture and it would still look correct. Like, it would actually look more correct due to MJF's posture if you turned it sideways. Like, it's super weird. But yeah. The Saturday night Dynamite, because that happened since.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back real quick here. Yeah, we had like 2 Dynamites right in a row.
There's really nothing that happened on Saturday night didn't really impress me too much.
What do you think? Well, that had the Jungle Boy match. How did you like that?
It was all right.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. The Hangman Hobbs match I thought was good. Basically, like, at this point, it's like I just want to see Hangman's thing advance. I guess someone caught, whether it was intentional or not, there's a moment, like, after he wins, that they had, like, a close-up on his face where he looks real happy, and then all of a sudden he looks, it's almost like if the intent was that he realized now he's number 1 contender again and has to fight Kenny, and he had, like, a very different look on his face. Now, if that was intentional, it was excellent. If not, they should pretend that it was intentional.
Yes.
But I feel like his stuff is pretty nuanced, so I think there's a real good chance that that was intended.
Yeah.
Let's see. Other than that,
I think we got another 2 weeks or 2 months of Kenny and Hangman leading up to it.
Well, yeah, they definitely started the build. Let's see. Other than that, Ethan Page hit Bear Bronson with the Ego's Edge, which I thought was pretty impressive.
Sure.
And then, the Kenny Jungle Boy match. I'm glad that Kenny basically just won straight up.
Yeah.
Like, obviously he tried to get the stuff, but like the help from Good Brothers and everything, but there was an intervention there. So that's fine. But all right, so last week's the 30th. You had mentioned they have at the end of the show they did the kind of like the tribute to Jacksonville montage, which was pretty good.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
It was a little got me a little teary eyed a little bit. It's amazing that Brody Lee did all that in 1 year, and it's just a shame his storyline ended because he died, but
right.
It just he did a lot.
I mean, the impact he had as far as like 100%, like he made Dark Order become relevant, which was like, I don't know if he's going to be able to do anything with these guys because they were not in a good way before he showed up.
Yeah.
So that was pretty good. Well, I don't think his matches, like, they weren't like, oh my God, these are the most amazing matches I've ever seen. They were good. I mean, he had some very strong moments. I would love to know, and maybe we'll find out one day, but that's kind of a hard question to ask, is where the storyline with him and Hangman was going to go. Like, was it just going to be a feud for him to have? Or was he going to, like, him and Brody become, like, I'm just curious, like, what the plan for that was. Because by that point...
I'm more interested in him and Cody. Because I think him and Cody's was going to go longer.
Yeah. Like after the bull.
There's a reason why Cody dyed his hair black. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, there has to be something. Because
literally, I remember he dyed his hair black, and we're like, oh, is he going to do a heel turn or something like that? And then, like, literally, like, a couple days later, he dyed his hair blonde. He was like, oh, I'm going blonde. I'm like, well, what are you doing that for? But then he obviously knew something was.
Yeah, like, well, there was you would think there was some kind of plan.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe there wasn't, but I refuse to believe with some of the stuff that AEW has pulled off that there wasn't a plan. So we started to talk, before we get into the last week's show, as far as the pandemic era hopefully being totally over here, you had mentioned you thought that AEW probably did better for themselves over the course of the pandemic.
Yeah.
Now, is that because, like, obviously WWE had like the Peacock deal and things like that? So from like that end of a financial aspect, obviously WWE did better. But
Sure.
But I mean, it's not like the amount that improves WWE kind of isn't that big of a deal. It feels like, because they already had like the crazy deal with Fox and stuff, and NBC Universal for USA, whereas AEW ended up getting, they seem to be in a better place overall. But yeah, are you thinking just from like show presentation or talent or
This presentation I thought was better.
Yeah. Now, do you think that was, even though a lot of it was just like wrestlers at ringside, like just having that kind of a, whether it was real or not, they had like a live element?
Well, like I said, I think they both kind of sucked.
Yeah.
Far as presentation goes, but the better presentation was AEW. Just because, like you said, they had the wrestlers.
Yeah.
It
Mostly Austin Gunn.
It just seemed more normal,
Right. I did like the Thunderdome setup for a little bit because it was different. It was like, oh, this is cool. But once they were doing that and piping in the noise, where it was like, but you don't even have people there. So, like, it was just like, well, yeah, you're going to get the reaction you want. Now, I think AEW was using like a little sweetener, so to say, for crowd noise, but they at least had live people there.
Yeah.
That were, if somebody was supposed to be booed and the people who were the extras are booing, but they had some extra noise that's booing, it matches up.
Yep.
So I don't know. But hopefully, I mean, I feel like, because AEW is still doing decent in the ratings, especially once they were unopposed on Wednesdays by NXT. They were hitting, like 800,000-900,000 pretty regularly, it seemed like. Hopefully that's a good sign that TNT or TBS or however it works is going to be happy with their ratings, and that'll be a good deal. Because I think even when they're on that terrible time slot on Fridays, I think they were still like a top 10 show.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that says how horrible that time slot is. Like, you don't need to do much to be good.
Sure.
Or if it like backs up the, the live original content weekly.
Yeah.
So, now I will say probably the biggest W, to wrestling in general is probably WWE getting Roman Reigns on the right track.
Sure.
Like, talking about like U.S. big companies, which you basically got two. Poor NWA got just wrecked. Because now to even watch Power, you gotta pay, basically. So I don't watch it.
What is up with that? I'm like, I will never watch Power. I'm not paying $5 to watch an episode. No.
I thought it was a month.
Is it a month? I thought it was like $5 an episode.
I don't know. The thing is,
so
I wouldn't pay $5 a month. So,
see, I thought it was $5 an episode or whatever their package deal is.
Let's see, the NWA Power, how to watch. Yeah, because I thought it was on like Fight app or something, but I don't know. Let's see, how can I watch Power? On demand, Fight TV. How much to watch? How much to watch NWA Power? According to the subscription bundle, will cost $4.99 a month. So yeah, it is.
No,
but I'm still not gonna. The fact that it was on YouTube and I would watch some
The fact that it
ads.
was on YouTube and I really didn't want to watch. I didn't really watch it regularly when it was free.
Yeah.
I sure as hell not going to pay $5 a month to watch. Yeah.
Well, and they lost some of their better talent too, unfortunately
Yep.
for them. But I mean, they made the decision to basically just shut everything down, which is fine. I mean, that's a responsible decision, but maybe that wasn't the best idea because like their live crowd wasn't exactly huge.
No.
And I don't know I can't remember what their view counts were hitting, but
Yeah, I don't know. I'm like, I'm not going to pay that. And like you said, they don't have any talents. All their talents left. So
yeah, I mean, they still have people who are okay, but like, there's nobody that I don't know. There's just no buzz to get me to even really care. I want them to do good.
Sure.
Now, if I could get something where it was like, say, Ring of Honor, NWA, Impact, all that, and it was like you could get all their stuff for $5 a month, I'd be interested in that. But like Impact, you could just watch on Twitch.
Yeah.
So, which is fine, and then you can donate. I'm assuming you can donate to the channel if you want. That'll give them money that way if you want to support them. But I mean, I don't even watch that half the time.
Sure.
So,
I was watching Ring of Honor. I text you this.
yeah,
And I'm like, man, this is bad because they don't have anybody. I didn't recognize anybody that. Yeah, except for the Briscoes. That was
well, and yeah, 'cause, I mean, Briscoes are going to be good. And I think the thing I had asked you, I was like, was there anybody where you're just like, oh, this guy I think could be something that like you?
No, I mean they all acted like Jungle Boys promos. They were just really
Just
bad. Like,
Which, if you're Jungle Boy and you're like the most bland person out of everybody, you kind of stand out for it. But if everybody's that bland, I think is Cornette the guy who always says it? If everybody's 7 foot tall, then nobody's 7 foot tall, like that kind of thing.
yes.
Like where you got to have a little bit of variety there.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's what's curious to me is because like I'll watch Dark, and there'll be like nobodies on Dark, but once in a while you'll see somebody that kind of sticks out. Like Will Hobbs, the first couple times he was on Dark, once they like actually let him get some offense in, it was like this guy he's got something. You don't know what it is. Like Danny Limelight, I don't particularly care for him a ton. Like Radioactive Poppy, I don't understand it. That just makes zero sense to me. I don't think Taz understands it either, based on the commentary. But you can tell he's good. Like Alan Angels, his match against Kenny Omega was really good. Like you could tell he's got something. He's not been utilized a ton, but
Kenny Omega is just really, really good.
well, I mean, he had a really good match against Phoenix too, though.
Yeah.
And like some of his other matches, like he's not had like a ton of featured stuff, but I mean, he'll be okay. I don't know how he'll be promo wise. Because on BTE, like the Dark Order stuff, I just can't tell half the time. Like, because 5 just is the whipping boy of the group basically, and just made fun of constantly. So
Sure.
and on Sammy's vlog where he's in the boy band or whatever, like it's so weird that I can't even comprehend it. Like usually I can get into weird stuff, but sure. I don't know. But yeah, it's unfortunate that you didn't see anything that really stuck out to you that you'd at least be like, oh, I'm going to keep an eye on this guy.
No. Because they don't even have New Japan anymore, I don't think.
There is like I don't know how to watch it. Yeah. Well, or they're just not dealing with them. I don't know what's going on.
Sure.
And I mean, I'm assuming they paid Marty a lot of money, but that just ended poorly. So.
Yeah. Well, they also who had Joey Ryan? Was that Impact or was that?
I think that was Impact. But I mean, Impact has enough stuff going on that they'll be okay.
Because of Kenny Omega, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like I haven't really followed on the numbers, because there's a weird thing anytime you read a conversation about Impact and Kenny, where there's like people who just, I don't know if they're like the weird AEW or WWE people who just like there can be only one, and they just like lose
Well,
their
the funny
minds.
thing- Well, the funny thing is, they said Kenny Omega has been on every episode since he's won the belt. So, well, I don't know.
Yeah, he's
Because-
burning it at both ends.
Because when Kenny Omega loses that belt, you know what I don't care about anymore?
Yeah. I mean, if the thing is, how many more people? Because I've watched more Impact than I ever had before he was involved with it.
Sure.
I'm assuming there's a lot of other people, and there's going to be some people who are like, "Oh man, I can just watch this on Twitch. It's basically free." Okay, I'll start checking this out some, and even getting like some extra casual viewers is going to be a benefit to them. I assume.
I mean,
he's going to drop the belt over there to Moose, maybe. At which point, my assumption would be he's going to drop the belt clean when he starts dropping all the belts. That's a big deal for them.
sure.
So it should leave them. I would think it would leave them in a better spot, but I understand there's like the argument that it's not going to be better for them once he loses it, but I don't know.
Well,
But he's not, like you said, he's not part-timing them. Like, he's not pulling like a Brock where he's not there, so.
Well, I was puzzled why the Good Brothers chose Impact. And then I saw how the Good Brothers act. I'm like, you know what? Makes sense why you guys are here, because you guys are weird.
Yes. Yes, they are the brand of weird that is not for me as well.
No.
Although they occasionally, like, they make me laugh, but it's just like, if they're like that
It's
all the time, it would be, yeah.
Because like I told you, if you watch Being the Elite, Matt Jackson legitimately seems like
irritated by them.
You guys are weird type thing. I don't know. It just
one of the best things is, like, I don't know where it originated, the Sour Boy for Machine Gun. And like Matt almost every time just breaks when he's doing it for some reason. Like you'll see him just like turn and start laughing and just like try to walk out of the camera shot. And I just sit there like I just don't get it, other than it's just like a weird thing.
Yeah.
So
Did you see Don Callis's hand?
Yes. God. Where if you're listening to us, but you don't ever check out Being the Elite, this last week, the beginning is actually pretty funny from just like a story. Because I guess Brandon Cutler shut the door on Don Callis' hand a little while ago.
Yes.
It was like, oh, did I get you? And he's like, yeah. But they're like, yeah, but Don just no-sells it and acts like it's not a big deal, but he's like kind of shaking his hand. Like the thing is where they show what his hand looks like currently.
There is no way he had to slam that door because the way his hand looks.
Oh, his hand is messed up.
Yeah.
And like the fact that they're just like, oh, did I get you? Oh, I'm sorry. like they're retelling of it, of how Brandon acted, how Don acted, and what actually happened is quite hilarious. It's like the very beginning of the episode, so you don't have to sit through the whole thing if you don't want to. But it's worth, like...
It almost to the point where if he would have done that to me, I would have punched him in the face. Be like, oh, did I get you?
And then just keep screaming it over and over, punching.
Yes.
So, I mean, that was crazy. It makes me think that Don Callis is a tough guy.
Sure.
He
was a jackal.
Yeah, that was great.
That?
Yes,
I didn't know he was a jackal. I had to look that up. I was like, wow, he was the jackal.
Mm-hmm. Him and Kurgan.
Yeah.
I mean, he's done a few things. Like, he's good at talking.
Yeah.
It's weird to see, like, pictures of him, like, when he was in, like, wrestling shape.
Sure.
All right. So, getting to the... I was going to say, getting to the actual show. They kicked it off. Did you read the story where, like, the Young Bucks and like Rick Knox and I forget who else it was, like, had crazy flight problems getting to Jacksonville?
No.
I guess like something got delayed. So keep in mind that this match is kicking off the show, but they were basically, by the time they got their flight and everything, they had to take like a 2-hour shuttle to get to Jacksonville. And then,
Okay.
so they got there like right before Dynamite started, it sounds like, and then left right after to go back home. So they were in Jacksonville for like 5 hours or something, I think is what it said.
Yeah.
Something crazy. So I'm sure they were like super frustrated by the time they got to the show.
Sure.
Although they had time to shave.
Yeah.
The entire elite had time to shave horrible mustaches onto their faces. So, how'd you feel about this match?
I thought it was good.
Yeah. Sets up the because I guess all their stuff is going to be like title eliminators, is where someone who's not number one ranked has to beat the team. I don't think the challenging team has won very many times, have they? When they do this kind of match?
Yeah, I don't think so.
So, whereas I'm very used to non-title match, champion, whether tag team or straight singles, almost always lose the non-title matches.
Yeah.
I feel like AEW, they win way more. I'd have to go back through and check. But, yeah, so we'll get Kingston and Penta with a title match coming up here. But, yeah, it was a pretty good match. You get Frankie Kazarian doing his thing. All that. You got Jericho on commentary screaming constantly. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, the Elite Hunter. It gives him a story, but I'm just like,
Yeah, I need to see something a little bit more from what he, like, because what he's doing makes sense, but I just need a little bit more to it. But, yeah, I mean, he's not doing a ton, but he's on the show, and they're talking about him. So it's better than just not being anything. Did you know that Christian is partially a Triceratops?
no.
On his mother's cousin's side or something, was like a fifth Triceratops when he was talking to my favorite Luchasaurus.
My wife was in the room during that scene. She's like, "What are they talking about?" I was like, "I don't know."
Like, they are being weird. Jungle Boy just sat there and basically didn't say anything the whole time. Or if he did, I don't remember it. So it was about the same thing.
I don't know, Luchasaurus, man. Especially when he came into the camera shot, he was like, "Roar!" I'm like, what in the world?
He's trying to figure something out.
He's doing something.
We get let's see, interview with Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky doing the coffin thing. I think this whole thing was set up to basically move the coffin match away from next week because of everything going on with the condo collapse thing.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Like, that would be my thought. Is
I didn't even think about that, but yeah, that makes sense, I guess.
Which I don't know if it matters, but I could kind of see where you're like, we really don't want to be doing this here.
Well, I'm sure some people, that upsets me.
Yes.
It's like, yes, because death doesn't happen every day. Yes.
Right.
I could. Maybe I'm just insensitive. I'm just like, it's a wrestling match. It has nothing to do with the whatever.
Right. I think it's one of those things that it's like, yeah, they could probably do it and it wouldn't be the biggest deal, but just from like, considering especially Florida's their home state, kind of.
Sure.
You want to be sensitive to the communities that you're going into, so moving it. Like, it's like, oh, I kind of want to see that match, but it doesn't make me mad. Whereas having the match, there's going to be people who are pretend mad, but you're going to have, like, the people who are like, oh, that seems kind of insensitive to do. So it's probably for the better.
Let's talk about Sting's crappy entrance.
Where they talked about the temperature dropping?
Well, and he pulls the coffin. I'm like, well, clearly Darby Allin's in that coffin. And sure enough, Darby jumps out of it. I was like, this is just dumb. Sting, you've had cooler entrances.
What happened is they saw how Cesar Bonani and Peter Avalon enter. Like, what if we did the Darby version of that?
Yeah.
So I would like to see a clip of that where like Peter and Cesar are watching it. Like, wait a minute, you just changed my heart-shaped bed into a coffin. Let's give it like we get like a brief feud out of that.
Yeah, it'd be a great feud, let me tell you.
That's where the money is.
Oh yeah.
Dude, wingmen are getting over. Telling you. They're going to come out one day and you're going to be like, what am I missing? It's going to be like when Enzo and Cash would come out for WWE, and I was just like, I just don't get it. But clearly, everybody loves them. You're going to have that moment with the wingmen.
And I like them. So, yeah.
Yeah,
different tastes, different people.
Yep. I mean, he was charismatic. I couldn't deny it. It just wasn't like if he was casting like some kind of a spell in a game that needed like charisma.
Yeah.
It would not have worked on me, but it clearly worked on everybody else.
Sure.
All right. Jungle Boy and Jack Evans. I mean, pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
We get MJF going to give Jericho the stipulation to get another match with him. I assume it's go away or something. I don't know. It'll be interesting. Like, if I beat you, you got to go away, or I don't know. Andrade is going to fight Sydal, it looks like.
Yeah.
Kenny Omega and the Dark Order had some interaction where basically Dark Order is saying that they know, like, this is the start of Hangman getting to the title, I would assume. There was a funny one, he's got the Harley Race style Triple H facial hair going.
Yes.
So I don't know if he chose that in particular. Like, I could see him being like, oh, Reign of Terror, Triple H kind of thing. Or something like that, like in his mind, like linking the two things.
Thank God I missed Triple H.
Yeah.
I wasn't
wasn't the best.
That much happened.
But yeah, so he basically says that like the person you're speaking of doesn't even think he has, like he doesn't think he's good enough to be champion or something to that effect. There was a brief moment where he points to 5 and he's like, what, someone like 5? He wouldn't even last in the ring with me for 2 minutes. And then Excalibur was immediately like, actually, they did fight and it was like over 10 minutes. But like just the little things like that are nice.
Let's talk about the greatest thing about, I think, AEW, like a year from now. I think Miro is going to be the top star. Because Miro he is great. His promos, like, this becoming the
God's favorite champion.
Yeah, I don't know. And if Lana comes to AEW, I think it'll be even better.
It is completely hilarious. Hold on, I want to find. He had Miro t-shirt. There's a shirt he had that made me laugh a little bit because he's got like the best man stuff still, which I think is fine. Like,
yeah, but I'm glad they're going away from that.
Yeah, no, this is infinitely better.
Yes.
Where is it? Oh, his one shirt is the final boss.
Yeah.
So I would be fine with them calling him like the final boss, along with God's favorite champion.
Yes.
Or combine them, God's favorite final boss.
Well, his prayers, man, crack me up.
Well, because they're like so tongue in cheek, but not necessarily wrong. It would be like, oh, thank you for giving me, the ability and power to beat these people. Also, thank you for making my wife smoking hot.
Yes.
And then he's willing, like, because he keeps going on. He's like, oh, I forgive you, or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's good stuff.
Yeah.
Because eventually you're going to get, like, the package that somebody edits together, like, of all his prayers before his promos.
Yes.
It's going to be fantastic. But he's made himself, like, so psychotic that it's hilarious, but I still take it serious when he does it. Because it's like, he's going to murder this guy.
So when he actually fights somebody that's, actually has a shot at maybe beating him,
Yeah.
I think it'd be really good.
Yeah, well, I mean, he made Pillman look pretty good, I thought.
Sure. Yeah.
Because, and I mean, he's done that going back to Rusev, where if he didn't totally squash the guy, like when he was getting his big build up to where he lost to Cena after coming out on a tank or whatever. If he had like a competitive match, even though he kind of got more of the match than whoever he was supposed to fight, he still like he sells for him and makes him look good. Like,
well, and there's people that say that he's not good. The only one I can think of is Jim Cornette said it, and I don't know what they're seeing. I mean, I understand not liking the character, but
yeah,
I don't know. He's clearly good. I mean, I don't get it.
I don't know. Now, maybe if you put him in the ring with Kenny Omega, I would see where it's like, oh yeah, he kind of lacks in this area. But for the matches he's doing, it feels to me like he's in the right place at the right time. His moveset makes sense to me. He basically just pummels you. Goes for like your body.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see a criticism, like if he's supposed to be this big monster, that maybe he sells too much.
Gotcha.
But, like, I mean, I'm just trying to think. Like, I've never listened to, like, Cornette or somebody's, like, criticism of him. Like, that's the only thing I can think of, just, like, looking at the match through my mind. Maybe they think he sells too much or something, but, like, I don't know. I've never thought him to be, like, dangerous or awful in the ring. Like, I don't know.
I don't understand. I don't get it.
I mean, I can see just, like, maybe not liking him, like his social media presence or his wife or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Like in ring, I feel, because I mean, he's going to beat Pillman in this match, but they did have that moment where you're like, oh man, Pillman's doing pretty good here.
Wrestling is very subjective
Yeah.
to certain people because I mean, Andre the Giant. I mean, to me, he really wasn't all that. He was big,
right,
and he was intimidating. And as a kid, I was like, "Oh, I can't beat him or whatever." But looking back at it, he wasn't no Bret Hart or something.
Well, right, yeah, he didn't have to. The thing is, like, he didn't have to do anything.
Sure.
And at the time, it was a fairly big deal to see Andre do anything. Now, we weren't around for the days of Andre doing drop kicks and stuff. So, because like in his early career, he did like drop kicks and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So, and I mean, now like an athletic big person in wrestling is not nearly as unique, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So now, I mean, it basically, like, in ring now, like, the low end is still really good. Like, basically, pretty much anyone who's wrestling. I mean, there's some people who obviously are, like, just beyond good. But it's mostly about, like, it feels like you need character and a story for your match for it to actually be good. Because pretty much any two people who are wrestlers can put on a decent match.
Sure.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I've seen some really bad matches still where it's like, I didn't know you could have a match that bad. Man, rough day.
Wrestling is really just about having, if you can do a character. I mean, as much as I don't like Riddle, his stupid bro thing, it's a character, and the dude can wrestle. So I mean,
right.
A lot of wrestlers don't have that talent. I don't think,
Yeah. Well, yeah, and his character, I think it's obviously divisive because there's some people who love it, and there's other people who hate it. Like Otis, when he was basically Chris Farley, it felt like I hated it,
Sure.
but
Sure.
live crowds loved it. So what do I know? But like even with him, like in ring, he wasn't like, oh my god, this is the most amazing thing ever, but he was fine. But it's like, if you can get into the character, like that is 9 parts.
Well,
of
I think the perfect example of having a great character is Sandman in ECW. I mean, the dude, him and New Jack, they were not good wrestlers at all, but they built a character where everyone's like, yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, let's see here. We got, I guess, Ricky Starks and Brian Cage are going to fight for the FTW championship.
Sure.
So does everybody turn on Cage, or does everybody turn on Ricky Starks?
I think everyone should just get rid of the FTW thing and just do their own thing, because
It's just not doing it.
FTW thing, it just hasn't done it for me.
Yeah, I'll give it a little more time. I mean, it's had, like, everybody's been on TV and they've had something to do. But yeah, it's not my favorite thing. I like everybody involved in it, though.
Because I think Starks actually could be probably a big star.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got something for sure. Poor Rebel, dislocated kneecap in the women's tag.
Because I saw a video of her. It looks like she actually legitimately hurt herself again.
Yeah, no, it actually was a dislocated kneecap, I think they said.
Gotcha.
But it was like super scary because it looked like she couldn't move at all.
Yeah.
Although to be fair, I assume dislocated kneecap will probably make you freak out.
Yeah. So, more power to her for finishing the match.
I mean, Nyla basically just like carried her over to the rope so she could drag her carcass out of the ring. But
sure. I mean, if I'm in that situation, yeah, I don't know if I would be as brave or as strong as she did. So I mean, they more power to her.
Yeah, wrestling is weird where like no matter how bad you're hurt, you either try to finish it or get out of the ring, or hide the fact of how hurt you are so you can get to a finishing spot. Which is stupid, but I understand it because you totally mess up a storyline that might be going, so you don't want to screw everybody else over, kind of. So it's like that weird instance of that like team approach. Main event, MJF and Sammy. They had a lot of time to work with for this. How do you like it?
I thought it was pretty good.
There was, when they did the like the pin trade off like move exchange towards the beginning of it, there were a couple moments during that where it looked really slow.
Yeah.
And I was like, it made me worry. I was like, oh, something's going to be off in this match. But I mean, it was fine. There was like one or two times where it looked like something was off with the movement to me.
Yeah.
But I mean, it didn't make it bad in any way. There was some crazy stuff in this match, though. Sammy did the dive over the barricade onto MJF.
Yeah.
MJF held a fan's hand to try to get up, which was a surprise. You had a second rope tombstone, which was one of the scarier things I've seen.
Because I legitimately thought he hurt his knee when he did it.
Well, one, like, there's that moment in the air where you're like, oh, please let this go okay. But I think I couldn't see, like, a side angle of it. And I wonder if they shot it from the front on purpose so that he could be leaning forward so it was, pretty safe. Because that would be my thought, is, like, you want to kind of lean. So even if he does hit his head, he's not jamming his neck kind of thing. But just like
tombstones are like you said,
they're scary.
They make me worry.
Yeah, like any kind of like the pile driver stuff. It's like I think
I
everybody knows how to do them because you don't hear about people getting hurt constantly. But it's just one of those. If you mess up, it's a big deal. So but I was trying to figure out. I still haven't heard anything on it. I assume that was just him selling the leg. But he did it in a way where it was like, oh, did he hurt his leg? And now he's just going to continue the match, but a little overemphasis on the knee, or what's going on here?
I mean, more power to him. If he actually hurt his knee and he's like, I'm going to make this part of the story. Hey, it kind of works for that character. So, I mean.
Let's see. But yeah, so had the dive, had that. Took a while, like, him, like, having the leg messed up, the way he did the cover, the time it took him to get to Sammy, and Sammy kicking out. it felt like it should have taken longer to get to the cover. Because, like, kicking out of a second rope tombstone is insane. But I liked that. So he kicked out, and then he was just, that was it. That's all he had. Like, he didn't get up. He didn't really move or anything for the most part. And they were doing the thing where, like, they can't, like, neither person could even get up, basically, to where the ref was looking like he was about to call the match. And I kind of thought they were going to and just make it a draw. And, I mean, honestly, I would have been okay with it at that point because it was a pretty good match and it was pretty crazy. But, yeah, so they do, you know, like all that stuff. MJF kicks out of the 630. It ends up with Sean Spears hitting Sammy in the head with the chair. And MJF gets the win. Are you okay with MJF winning the way he did?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of suspected it was going to be like that. The only thing I didn't like about it, the whole thing, was Wardlow coming out, hey, ref. And then, I don't know. That part, I was like, that's just dumb.
Well, I mean,
the ref care if Wardlow's out there.
Well, to be fair, that is the best way to distract the ref, is to literally get them to look at you.
Sure, but
it's very in wrestling world, it's very unconventional.
Because he had Jericho. I mean,
who's not part of the match.
So why would the ref care? Be like, okay, good. Yeah,
well, because he's like, what do you want?
I don't know. I think they could do that part a little bit better.
Like, if you were trying to do something, though, like, if you're at work and talking to somebody, but then I, like, come outside the garage door at your work, and I'm like, hey, Saul, you're eventually going to turn and look, and if somebody then takes a bunch of dirt and throws it on the rug that you're cleaning, you don't actually know what happened.
Sure. I guess,
Because I laughed, because I was like, well, that's an interesting way to do a ref distraction.
This is literally, hey, ref, look at me, hey, ref.
Well, I mean, MVP was able to just yell at Drew and distract him for Bobby Lashley to beat him. So it is there's a precedent in wrestling that just yell at somebody to distract them.
Sure.
Yeah, but I thought it was a good match. I think Sammy losing is fine. Crowd was super into both of them. Somebody had like the quarter hour ratings or whatever, but they were like for pretty much the entirety of their match, I think they were in like the 900,000 range or whatever.
That's pretty good.
Considering that they haven't been on Wednesday in forever. I don't know how much those ratings mean or whatever, but that seems like a good number to have for it. Because, I mean, basically, I was kind of aware of Sammy and MJF before AEW, but it was more like, oh, those are guys that do wrestling. So for them to be, like, full on, like, they were the main event, like, that was the biggest thing of the show, I would say. Pretty good job with that. And honestly, you could slot in Darby with either of those two. And I think you're pretty well set. Hangman with either of them. Like, you have like a pretty big main event for a TV show for sure, or a pay-per-view.
Sure.
So, all right.
Yep.
You are
we've been going for balls.
time. Yeah. Yep. I say we end it there. I imagine we'll be back next week.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and happy 4th of July if you're listening to this.
Yeah.
We didn't do a 4th of July special like we had in the past, but, you know,
my 4th of July special was last night when everybody was shooting off fireworks.
Yeah.
On July the
4th of July
2nd.
brings out the next.
This year is better than last year was, but maybe because I have dogs that are not fans of the fireworks, or maybe because I like to go to sleep before midnight, and I'm just old. But yeah, like I honestly hate, like the string of black cats kind of thing, where it's just like pop, 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 like a machine gun going off. I think I hate those more than the mortars at this point in life.
Sure.
They're both terrible, but like at least the mortar, it's one big boom and it's over.
Yes.
And like there's at least something, if you're outside or you're looking up in the sky, there's something to see. The ones that just make noise, like they literally, you could just bang pots and pans together.
Yep.
Like,
So,
so bah humbug to the 4th of July.
we've now officially become old men complaining
Yes.
about loud noises.
Next, I'm going to start yelling at the clouds.
There you go.
All right, everybody. We will catch you next week.